What really made the experience special for me at World Dairy Expo was I made sure while I was in the ring to remind myself to just soak it in and be present in the moment. It felt like a culmination maybe of my Holstein experience. I've gained so much and love National Convention so much. I wanted to see other Virginia juniors take advantage of that and have just as much fun as I have over the years. Something that a lot of maybe younger Jeopardy participants struggle with is getting buzzed in first and fast enough. And that's something I think you just have to practice, practice, practice.
Welcome to Holstein Connections, where we share the latest stories, insights, and news from Holstein Association USA and beyond. The largest dairy cattle breed association in the world, Holstein Association USA provides leadership, information, and services to help dairy producers worldwide be successful. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. This is Holstein Connections.
Hello, Holstein enthusiasts. Today, I'm welcoming Rachel Craun to the Holstein Connection podcast. Rachel has been a very active Junior Holstein Association member over the years, competing in many Junior Holstein and Holstein Foundation contests, showing at Junior Holstein shows, and serving in officer roles in the Virginia Holstein Association. Recently, she also received the Judi Collinsworth Memorial Scholarship. Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Rachel, let's start by learning a little bit more about your background. What is your connection to the dairy industry?
I grew up spending a lot of time at my grandparents' dairy farm, Craun Holsteins, and unfortunately, my family sold their herd in 2017, but I wanted to remain active in breeding and showing Holsteins, so I kept several heifers and have grown my herd from there. I actually flushed and used in vitro fertilization on one of my favorite show heifers to quickly expand some of my numbers. At this point, I currently try to keep my numbers around 15 heifers and cows, and I have continued to exhibit Holsteins at the state and national level.
That's wonderful that you were able to remain involved even after your family sold your herd. Tell me a little bit more about where your animals are housed or how that works.
So all of my heifers still live at my family farm, Craun Holsteins. My mother and my grandfather take care of them on a daily basis while I'm at school, which I'm incredibly grateful to them for. Since I started college, I've been selling a lot of my fresh 2-year-olds to help pay for my college tuition, which has been so nice. And then the few show cows that I want to keep around are housed at a couple dairies run by family friends. And I'm also super grateful to those people for housing them. So I'm still able to show cows as well.
Well, what a great way to continue to pursue your passion, but also use some of that revenue from selling your registered Holsteins to pay for your college education as well. What advice, Rachel, would you have for any other young Junior Holstein members who maybe don't have a dairy farm that they've grown up on, or maybe their family also sold their cows, but they're looking to remain involved or maybe continue showing?
Yeah, I'm really lucky to live in an area that still has a lot of small family owned dairy farms. And we're really lucky to be in an industry where people are willing to use those connections to help out junior members by housing some cows. And I think that honestly, if you're in an area like that, just asking around because I mean, it's not always a win-win situation, but these people are still getting milk from a cow that they didn't have to buy. So most people are willing to help out juniors and appreciate young people being involved in the dairy industry. And then if you don't have that opportunity, which unfortunately a lot of people don't, there's so many other ways to be involved in showing dairy cows. I know a lot of people work for show strings at state and national shows. That's a good way to get experience and make connections. And then hopefully that leads to one day being able to exhibit an animal in the ring at a national show, which is a good way to also be involved.
I think those are some great ideas, Rachel. And I think there are a lot of wonderful mentors in the dairy industry, right? And people who really want to help youth and Junior Holstein members succeed as well. So, Rachel, how did you first get your start in the Junior Holstein Association?
Since my grandparents own a dairy, my granddad was very involved in getting me started and participating in Junior Holstein. My mom and my granddad have showed Holsteins at the state and national level for years and did when I was young. They took me to my first Virginia State Holstein show when I was only 3 months old. So I haven't really missed one since. But I also went to my first National Holstein Convention when I was 8 years old, and my family was really responsible for that and getting me started and participating. But I loved that experience. That was in Iowa. And I loved getting to tour farms and meet other juniors from across the country that also loved Holsteins. And then I decided that I wanted to go to convention every year. So
And have you been to convention every year since you were 8, Rachel?
I have, yes.
That's amazing. What do you love so much about National Holstein Convention? What's your favorite part?
It's really hard to pick a favorite part. Obviously, I love competing. I would say that's probably the main reason I go. But I also love just like getting to know other junior Holstein members from all across the country. It's so cool that I have friends that live in California and Wisconsin or New York. And then as you get older, you see those people more often at the collegiate level or at the national shows. And I think that's a really cool network to have and will benefit me later in life. But when I was younger, I also loved farm tours. I like getting to see what people are doing differently and all the new technology and robotics that people are using on their farm. As I've gotten older, I'm like, oh my goodness, another farm tour. But when I was younger, that was definitely one of the main reasons I wanted to go to convention.
Yes, absolutely. I know people love those farm tours, but there's also local activity tours or local sites that you can take into at convention, which is always a fun option. So, obviously have been involved in the National Junior Holstein Association, but you've also had officer roles and been highly involved in the Virginia Holstein Association as well. Tell me a little bit about what that looks like, and the scope of your Junior Holstein involvement at both levels over the years.
So, like I said, at my first national convention, I competed in the Dairy Jeopardy contest, which ignited my passion for going to all those national conventions. And Dairy Jeopardy has always been my favorite, but I've also done Quiz Bowl, virtual interview, bowling display, extemporaneous speaking, and digital scrapbook at the national level as well. In Virginia, our junior association is pretty small. So I've served as pretty much all the officer roles, reporter, secretary, treasurer, vice president, president during my time as a junior member. But my main goal during that time was to recruit Virginia juniors to attend national convention. Since I've gained so much and love national convention so much, I wanted to see other Virginia juniors take advantage of that and have just as much fun as I have over the years. So I've worked really hard to make sure everyone felt welcome at our state shows and at our junior retreat we have every year. As I've gotten older, that's been my main involvement in the Virginia Junior Holstein Association. I also have been active in showing Holsteins at the state and national level and helping coordinate some of the junior activities at our state show.
You've really done it all and almost had your foot in almost every aspect of the Junior Holstein Association, Rachel, it sounds like. I know that Dairy Jeopardy is your favorite, though, so let's dig into that a little bit more. First, can you just briefly describe Dairy Jeopardy, how that contest works for someone who may not be familiar?
Yeah, it's pretty much just like Jeopardy when you watch it on TV. So you have a board and there's six different categories and obviously point values from 100 to 500 in each category. And whoever starts out with the board picks a category and a point value, and then everyone has the opportunity to buzz in. You have buzzers just like you see on TV too. Whoever gets buzzed in first gets to answer the question. If you get it right, you get the points. You get it wrong, you lose the points. And then there's even Final Jeopardy, like there is on TV, where you get to make a wager and hope that you get the question right. And I think wagering in Final Jeopardy takes a lot more strategy than people think it does when you watch it on TV.
That's definitely a tricky part of the contest. And Dairy Jeopardy is actually a Holstein Foundation contest, but something that our junior Holstein members get to compete in at the state level if their states have that, and then again at National Holstein Convention. And Rachel, what is it about Dairy Jeopardy that you enjoy so much?
I think first, what kind of got me hooked on the contest is I really enjoy learning and absorbing information, and the dairy industry and Holsteins is something I'm really passionate about. So, getting to learn all of that and then use it in competing at the national level is really fun for me. I also competed in 4-H Dairy Quiz Bowl and 4-H Stockman's Contest, which kind of teach more animal husbandry type questions. But Dairy Jeopardy is really cool in that there's a lot of trivial knowledge, like history of the Holstein breed and important people and important cows, which is just fun information to know and get to use. I also really enjoy a challenge, and a lot of the answers, because they're people and cows in Jeopardy, change every year. And it's challenging to learn and relearn all that information from year to year if you keep competing. And I also tend to be a very competitive person. And I think out of all the junior Holstein contests, Jeopardy is very fast paced and competitive. And I like kind of the adrenaline rush that comes with it at the national contests.
It's very fast paced, and something that I think is challenging is not only recalling the information, but knowing when to buzz in or hitting that buzzer fast enough. Do you have any strategies for that, Rachel?
I think that's something that a lot of maybe younger Jeopardy participants struggle with is getting buzzed in first and fast enough. And that's something I think you just have to like practice, 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 like with a buzzer and with other people. Something that I found has really helped me is learning to read the questions quickly and almost skim them for the important information, like read a couple words and know what the question is so you can get buzzed in. And then the other thing I would say is a lot of people will buzz in and get a question wrong and get really discouraged. But I would say, like, just keep trying, keep buzzing in because it's really kind of a mental contest. If you get discouraged, it's hard to come back from that. And I would just say, keep trying. A lot of the questions in Jeopardy, some of the adults in the room might not know off the top of their head. So don't get embarrassed if you get something wrong. Just keep studying and learning it and keep buzzing in.
That's great advice. And there's definitely some hard questions and also just such a variety of questions and information that you have to know. And if you want advice on the Dairy Jeopardy contest, Rachel is a wonderful person to ask because she has actually won Dairy Jeopardy in each of the different divisions at National Holstein Convention. Rachel, I believe that was a goal that you set yourself to accomplish that. Tell me, how did you come up with this goal? And then what did you do to actually follow through and accomplish that goal that you set for yourself?
Honestly, not really sure how I came up with this goal. I think maybe part of it was at my first national convention when I got out in the first round and was really discouraged. Haley Fernandez, a much older junior Holstein member at the time, came up to me and told me to keep trying and keep competing. And she won two, I think, junior and intermediate Dairy Jeopardy. And I was like, well, I'm going to win all three. So I think maybe that's where it came from, but I don't know. It's been a goal of mine for a really long time. And as far as what I did to achieve that, I was very determined and I am like that about a lot of things. And so I just told myself that I was going to study as hard and as much as I needed to be able to win. And I think that's really what made the difference is just constantly studying over the years. And like I said, a lot of the questions change from year to year, but some of them don't. And I think studying straight for however many years that I did really helped because eventually you just retain that information and don't have to relearn all of it. But what I would do is make Quizlet flashcards and just study them when I was in the line to get Panera at school, like on my phone. Or like this summer when I was living by myself, when I was making dinner, I'd call my mom or call my grandma and have them ask me questions while I was making dinner. So it's almost just like constant repetition and studying.
Has any of this information that you've learned in Dairy Jeopardy come in handy in other aspects of your life?
Yes, it definitely has come in handy in things like dairy judging, which I have been doing at the collegiate level for Purdue. We talk a lot about the points on the scorecard and everything in Jeopardy, and that's directly applied to dairy judging as well. I'm not an animal science major, so it hasn't helped me a ton in school, but I've taken a couple dairy science classes in college, and it was basically like Dairy Jeopardy questions. My dairy management class was. So that was really nice. I barely had to study for that class at all because it was all Dairy Jeopardy knowledge. So it has kind of crossed over into other things.
Absolutely. So, Rachel, maybe switching gears a little bit here. I know you've also competed in the virtual interview contest. For those who don't know what the contest is, contestants will submit their resume and cover letter and get judged on that. And then a select group gets called back to do an interview with a panel of three judges. The question, depending on the age level, is usually about maybe an internship or job experience. So, Rachel, what types of skills do you feel like you've built from your experience competing in the virtual interview contest?
I think the virtual interview contest is the junior contest that has provided me with the most applicable professional skills. I used to really struggle in interviews in high school, like for scholarships and jobs and whatnot. But after competing in the virtual interview contest several times and taking that feedback to heart, I saw noticeable improvement winning the contest last year in 2024. I learned how to be professional yet personable at the same time and how to answer common interview questions, what types of things that employers might be looking for. It also helped me to control my use of filler words when public speaking, which is something that I struggled with for a long time. These skills I feel like have helped me tremendously in job and scholarship interview settings since participating in that contest.
And something too, I think to mention on the virtual interview contest is that you get feedback on your resume and cover letter and your interview that you can take and directly apply if you compete in the contest the next year or if you go on to apply for an internship or job down the road. So, Rachel, you're right. You can really compound your growth and your learning by competing in that contest again year after year. And there's no prerequisite for competing. You don't have to do it at the state level first or anything. So it's really open for any junior member to build their skills there. Rachel, you also mentioned that you've been active in showing registered Holsteins throughout the years. And I know that you recently achieved your goal of competing in the International Junior Holstein Show in 2025. What did that journey in the show ring look like for you?
Yeah, I think that showing Holsteins at the state and national level has been such an awesome experience for me. I have such a community and network of people that I've met through showing, and it's really amazing. But for me, the goal has always been to breed and grow my own show heifers. I feel so much more pride when bred known heifers do well in the show ring. However, when working with a herd of 15, it can be a little difficult to develop national level show heifers every year, which unfortunately means often sitting out shows like the All American and North American Livestock Expo. I've been fortunate enough to have several homebred heifers be competitive at the national level over the years, but none that I felt like were worth the trip to Madison. Since 2025 was my last year as a junior member, I chose to dip into my college savings a little bit and purchase a show heifer. And after she was named honorable mention junior champion at the Premier National Junior Show, I finally felt like World Dairy Expo was in the cards and was really looking forward to achieving that goal this year.
How did it feel when you were in the ring at World Dairy Expo, competing with that heifer that you used some of your college savings and kind of took a risk to purchase, right?
Yeah, I think what really made the experience special for me at World Dairy Expo was I made sure while I was in the ring to remind myself to just soak it in and be present in the moment because that was potentially a once in a lifetime experience for me. And being in the ring in the Coliseum, for me, never having been there, was a really surreal moment. And my granddad was actually able to come to World Dairy Expo and be in the stands, and having him there as he like got me started showing whole scenes when I was so young made it even better. Competing in the International Junior Holstein Show was a dream come true, and one of the many things that honestly made my last year as a junior so incredible.
What a special moment to be able to share with your granddad who really helped you get your start in the dairy industry and the registered Holstein business. Before we learn more about Rachel's junior Holstein experience and look ahead to her career goals in the dairy industry, We're going to take a quick break.
It's easier than ever to take advantage of Holstein USA's programs and services and the added value of registered Holsteins with Holstein Complete. A convenient, all-in-one package, Holstein Complete bundles Holstein Association USA's core services, such as registration, classification, pedigrees, genetic reports, production records, and more. Holstein Complete customers save an average of 20%. With convenient monthly payments and discounts on additional services, Holstein Complete helps you maximize the value of your registered Holsteins. Learn more at holsteinusa.com. Sign up today to complete your herd.
Rachel, looking back at your Junior Holstein experience over the years, what do you think pushed you out of your comfort zone the most and why?
I think Dairy Jeopardy, honestly, like while I do love that contest, that pushes me out of my comfort zone the most because it's so high pressure and high intensity, and you have to pull those facts so quickly when you're in the moment. And at National Convention, Dairy Jeopardy gets a pretty big audience, especially the like intermediate and senior divisions, and it's kind of stressful to have to think that fast in front of so many people.
Absolutely. If you have not watched Dairy Jeopardy at National Holstein Convention and you're planning on going either this year or in the future, I definitely encourage you to take in a contest or two if it fits in your schedule. Rachel, as you kind of wrapped up your entire Junior Holstein experience here, you were awarded at the end of 2025 the top national Judi Collinsworth Outstanding Junior Exhibitor Memorial Scholarship. Quite a mouthful, but a wonderful scholarship recognizing Judi Collinsworth, who used to work for the Holstein Association. This award recognizes national junior Holstein show exhibitors who have shown committed involvement and interest in the Holstein industry. How did receiving the scholarship impact or help you out in your college journey?
I have been so fortunate to receive scholarships to fund my education, many of which have been through Holstein or other dairy related activities. Purdue University out of state tuition is pretty expensive, and being awarded scholarships such as Judi Collinsworth Scholarship have allowed me to minimize my student loans. This particular scholarship that I got at the end of this year also provided the boost I needed to have my final semester of school completely scholarship funded, which was such a burden off my shoulders this year. And I also am so grateful for the awards in Holstein Association that I received this past year. It felt like a culmination maybe of my Holstein experience. And a lot of them are named after important individuals in the Holstein industry, like Judi Collinsworth. And it's pretty special to be recognized as being almost on the same level, quote unquote, as some of those people who meant so much to the Holstein breed.
Absolutely. So, Rachel, speaking of college, you mentioned you're in your final semester, you're going to be graduating this spring. What are you studying in college? What are your future career goals? Fill us in on that.
My major at Purdue University is agricultural engineering with an emphasis in environmental and natural resources engineering. So, with that, the goal is to be designing manure storage structures or ponds or sand lanes or grass waterways or any kind of conservation practices that you see on farm. However, after graduation, I will be working for a civil engineering firm based in Peoria, Illinois. I'll be a member of both the agricultural and structural design teams. So I will be working on site plans and facility design for farms throughout the Midwest. They put me on some structural projects this summer, which is not what my major was about, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to helping farmers with their facility designs. What I'm really excited for with this job is getting to work with farmers on a regular basis and hopefully help them expand their operations and become more efficient.
Absolutely. What got you interested in pursuing ag engineering as a career?
Actually, my involvement in Junior Holstein Association and other dairy activities really helped me determine my career choice. When I first toured robotic dairy farms at a young age on probably National Holstein Convention tours. I decided my career was going to be an engineer for Laley, designing robotic milkers. There's a couple problems with that. I'm not very good at coding or at circuits and electricity. That's not my skill set. And two, Laley headquarters and where most of their engineers are based is in the Netherlands. So I decided that wasn't the career for me. Then I thought maybe I wanted to be in precision ag in general and ag robotics. But like I said, I later realized the electrical and circuit stuff is not my strong suit. But I really enjoy design work and problem solving and coming up with new designs. So I decided to go the more environmental and structural route. I always knew I wanted to work in agriculture and I couldn't be stuck in an office all day, every day. Ag engineering really gives me the opportunity to regularly interact with farmers and get out in the field and on farm on a regular basis.
I'm curious, what does that look like as you're on farm or consulting with farmers? Maybe generally walk me through what it would look like if you helped a farmer from start to finish with their egg engineering project.
So this summer, one of the main projects I worked on was a beef feedlot barn with a deep manure storage pit underneath of it. So my site visit for that one, I went out to their farm. I took a survey of all their existing buildings and shot some survey elevation data where the new building was going to be so that we can start with the deep pit and with the foundation of the building. Then after that, you have to submit a site plan where the building's going to be, all the dimensions of that. And obviously the farmer plays a big role in that because it's their operation. They know what's going to be most efficient, where the building needs to go, how they need to get in and out to clean it out, to pump the pit, all those sorts of things. So there is correspondence between me and my boss and the farmer in that part. And then all those site plans have to be submitted to make sure they meet environmental regulations because you're dealing with manure storage. And then after that, you do the structural design of the pit and the barn itself. And those also have to be submitted to a different regulating agency. And that's a lot of the design process is making sure that they meet all the design standards and are able to hold the not only the livestock capacity, but the manure capacity that they need to for each individual farm.
So you're really there to help make sure it's fitting all of the regulations, but then also serving the farmer and the people working on that farm as best as it possibly can as well.
Yeah, you kind of have to make sure that everyone's needs and opinions are incorporated into design, which is not always easy.
No, but farmers are very lucky down the road to have you helping them with that. What impact do you hope to make on the dairy industry or livestock production in general in your career, Rachel?
I really hope that down the road, I will not only be involved in the design and permitting of facilities on farms, but also hopefully in standards development, which is basically setting those standards that have to be met by any sort of manure storage facility or any livestock operation. I really am passionate about making sure that those standards and regulations that all engineers and permitting agencies have to follow are not detrimental to the farmer's efficiency and to their profitability. I'm really passionate about making sure, especially environmental regulations, are fair and scientifically based so that farmers are able to remain viable for future generations.
Well, farmers definitely need someone like you in their corner, Rachel. To wrap up here, how has your Junior Holstein involvement helped prepare you for this next chapter in your life as you enter your career?
I am really grateful for my Junior Holstein involvement because it's given me a lot of the skills I feel like have helped me to have a job lined up after graduation. Leadership, work ethic, communication skills, those are things that really make you stand out in your career and help get you hired. Participating in Junior Holstein is where I've developed most of those characteristics between competing or serving as an officer or recruiting new junior members.
Your story has shown a lot of perseverance to remain involved in the dairy industry and accomplish some of those Junior Holstein related goals that you've had for yourself over the years as well. Rachel, before we end our conversation today, is there anything else you would like to add?
I think all I would say is that now that I'm officially a alumni of the National Junior Holstein Association, like looking back on the what is it, 12 years maybe I spent as a junior member, I had so much fun and I learned so much. But what I'm really grateful for is to be involved in an industry that provides opportunities like this for young people to stay involved, even if you don't necessarily live on a dairy farm. And this last year as a junior member, I've really realized how important that is to be recognized in an industry that has given me so much. And it's pretty bittersweet for me that I'm no longer a junior, but I hope to stay involved in the future and help at National Convention and all those sorts of things.
Absolutely. There's certainly opportunity once you graduate from the Junior Holstein program to remain involved as a member of the Adult Association and give back or help mentor or volunteer in other ways as well. So, Rachel, before we wrap up, we're going to end with 5 fun, kind of quick fire, this or that type questions. So, are you ready?
Sounds
All right.
good.
Black and white or red and white Holstein?
Definitely black and white. I've actually never owned a red and white Holstein.
There you go. I think this might be kind of a softball question for you here, but would you rather compete in Dairy Bowl or Dairy Jeopardy?
I prefer Dairy Jeopardy.
I saw that one coming somehow. Would you rather have an unlimited supply of ice cream or an unlimited supply of fitting supplies for a year?
That's such a hard one. I love ice cream, but I also really enjoy fitting, and fitting supplies are far more expensive than ice cream. So I have to pick fitting supplies.
Fair enough. If you had to pick only one dairy product to enjoy for a year, would it be chocolate milk or cheddar cheese?
Cheddar cheese for me.
Love it. And finally, would you rather have the grand champion of the International Junior Holstein Show at World Dairy Expo or judge the show?
I think for me, I have to go with exhibiting grand champion of the junior show. My judging team was sitting ringside during a lot of the shows this year, and we all kind of decided we never want the stress and the pressure of judging a show at Madison.
Yes, it would certainly be a lot of pressure. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us for such a fun conversation today. And thank you to everyone tuning in to this episode of the Holstein Connections podcast. For more information about the Junior Holstein Association, visit www.juniorholstein.com. Don't forget, new episodes of the Holstein Connections podcast drop every other Thursday.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Holstein Connections. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. Until next time, this is Holstein Connections.